Have you ever woken up to find something on your phone that you know, for a fact, you didn't put there? Something that makes the hair on your arms stand up and a cold shiver run down your spine? This isn't a fictional scary story. This is something that actually happened back in 2014, and to this day, it remains one of the internet's most chilling unsolved mysteries. It all started on a regular day for a man who went by the username M1SafYT. He was living a completely normal life until one morning he checked his phone and found a series of bizarre and unsettling photographs in his gallery. These weren't blurry pocket pictures or accidental screenshots. They were clear, high-quality images of something truly disturbing. The first photo showed what appeared to be a dark, slender figure, almost like a silhouette, standing in a dimly lit room. Its posture was unnatural, its limbs long and thin. It was just standing there, facing away from the camera, seemingly in his own apartment. He was completely freaked out. He lived alone. There was no one else in his apartment, and he hadn't had any visitors. He was certain he hadn't taken this picture. He scrolled to the next photo. This one was even more terrifying. It was a close-up. The figure was now turned towards the camera, and you could see its face. Or rather, what should have been a face. It was a blur of distorted features with large, dark, empty sockets where eyes should be. The image was grainy, as if taken in a hurry or in very low light, but the pure terror it conveyed was crystal clear. M1SafYT was understandably panicked. He immediately posted his story and the photos to an online forum, hoping someone could explain what was happening. He explained that he lived on the 27th floor of an apartment building. His doors and windows were locked. There was no sign of a break-in, no forced entry, nothing out of place except for these horrifying images on his phone. The online community was instantly captivated and terrified. People started analyzing the photos, trying to find any clue, any hint of a rational explanation. Was it a prank? A clever hoax? Some suggested it could be a marketing stunt for a new horror movie or game, but M1SafYT was adamant. He was genuinely scared for his life and swore this was real. His fear felt authentic. He wasn't trying to sell anything. He was just a regular guy asking for help. As the discussion grew, more theories emerged. Some people tried to debunk the photos, suggesting they were manipulated or created using some kind of app. They pointed to certain artifacts in the images, like pixelation, that might suggest digital editing. But others argued that these artifacts could just as easily be the result of a low-light environment and a standard phone camera. No one could definitively prove the photos were fake. Then things got even stranger. M1SafYT posted an update. He said he had started hearing strange noises in his apartment, faint scratching sounds coming from the walls and ceiling. He also mentioned feeling a constant, unnerving sensation of being watched. He was sleeping with the lights on, too afraid to be in the dark. He decided to try and capture more evidence. He set up his phone to record audio while he slept, hoping to catch the source of the noises. The next morning, he listened back to the recording, and what he heard was bone-chilling. Amidst the low hum of his apartment, there was a faint, raspy breathing sound. It wasn't his own. It was slow, labored, and it seemed to be coming from somewhere right inside his room. At this point, the online community was in a frenzy. People were begging him for updates, offering advice, and sharing their own terrifying theories. Some thought it was a demonic entity, a ghost, or some other kind of paranormal being that had attached itself to him. Others, leaning towards a more rational explanation, suggested a stalker who was somehow incredibly skilled at breaking and entering without leaving a trace. But how could a stalker get into a locked apartment on the 27th floor, take photos on the resident's phone, and then leave without being detected? The most disturbing theory that gained traction was that the creature in the photos wasn't an intruder from the outside, but something that was already inside. something that lived in the walls, in the vents, or in the crawl spaces of the building. This would explain the scratching noises and the feeling of being watched. The idea of something inhuman living just inches away, hidden from sight, was almost too terrifying to comprehend. M1SFYT's posts became more frantic. He described seeing fleeting shadows out of the corner of his eye and finding small, unexplainable scratches on his furniture. His mental state was clearly deteriorating. He was sleep-deprived, paranoid, and living in constant fear. People urged him to call the police, to install security cameras, to get out of the apartment. He said he had contacted building security, but they found nothing unusual. Then came the final, most terrifying piece of the puzzle. He uploaded one last image. This photo was different from the others. It was taken from a strange, high angle, looking down at his bed. And in the bed, you could see him sleeping. The photo was taken from the perspective of someone or something standing over him while he was completely vulnerable. The implication was horrifying. The entity was not just in his apartment. It was in his bedroom, watching him sleep, close enough to reach out and touch him. After posting this final terrifying image, M1SFYT went silent. His online account became inactive. He never posted again. No more updates, no more pleas for help, just complete and total silence. What happened to M1SFYT? No one knows for sure. The mystery remains unsolved. Did he simply decide to stop posting, trying to move on with his life and forget the whole ordeal? Or did the story end in a much more sinister way? The internet has never forgotten. To this day, people still discuss the case, poring over the photos and the posts, trying to piece together what happened. Some still believe it was an elaborate and incredibly well-executed hoax, a modern-day ghost story for the digital age. They argue that the lack of a conclusion is part of the narrative's genius, but others are convinced that what M1SFYT experienced was real. They believe he stumbled upon something truly unexplainable, something from beyond our understanding. The fear in his words, the escalating terror of the events, and his sudden disappearance all point to a genuinely horrifying experience. Think about it. The locked doors, the 27th floor apartment, the photos appearing on his own phone, the audio recording of another's breath, and finally, that last picture of him sleeping. Each detail adds another layer of impossibility and dread. If it was a stalker, they were a ghost. If it was a ghost, it knew how to use a smartphone. The story serves as a chilling reminder of how our technology, the very devices we use to connect and feel safe, can be turned against us in the most terrifying ways. Your phone is your most personal possession. It holds your conversations, your memories, your life. The idea of an unknown entity invading that personal space, using your own device to terrorize you, is a uniquely modern nightmare. So the next time you wake up and check your phone, maybe you take an extra second to scroll through your photo gallery. You probably won't find anything out of the ordinary, but what if you did? What would you do if you found a picture of a shadowy figure standing in your room, a picture you know you didn't take? The story of M1SFYT shows us that sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't in movies or books. They're in a JPEG file on a 5-inch screen in the palm of your hand. What do you think happened? Was it a hoax, a paranormal event, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this dive into one of the internet's darkest mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Stay safe out there.